This tutorial will show you how to use Google Earth Tour Builder. It will also explain the requirements of the geography assignment for our Latin American Studies class. As you've probably already read and noticed, this assignment is the big project for our course. We won't be taking any exams, so there won't be a midterm and a final, but instead we will be building a fairly detailed tour of Latin America using the Google Earth Tour Builder. So I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page in terms of what the assignment requirements are, and also on how to use Google Earth Tour Builder. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you've either come to this spot in the course, this is in the assignment instructions tab, or you've accessed this video via the geography assignment instructions that I just opened. If you didn't know how to get to those instructions, you just saw how. There are a number of ways to get to the geography assignment instructions via the syllabus, as well as through the assignment instructions tab in Blackboard. So I'm not going to read through all of the instructions here. A lot of what I've written helps to just kind of preface and help you to understand what the purpose of this assignment is and what we're aiming to do with it. So again, that's something you can look at when you have the time. Instead, I want to talk about the 3 steps of the assignment. So there will be an initial tour, a peer review step, and a final tour. Due October 14th, November 18th, and December 7th, respectively. You can see as a whole, this project is worth 35% of the final grade. The initial tour, you can get the instructions for that by scrolling down, looking at these few paragraphs here. That explains the number of locations you need to include in your tour, as well as the idea that you need to split those between physical locations and I've called them political or built sites. So these include cities, towns, skyscrapers, etc. Scrolling down, the second step is the peer review, so you can read all about that here. And then finally, the instructions for the final submission, the final version of your tour are there. Please do take a minute to read through the philosophy here. Again, that's just giving you a little more background on some of the ideas that underlie this assignment in terms of thinking about geography, its relationship to history and culture. And then further down here, I will update the assignment rubrics. This is the old one from last time I taught the class to reflect what the assignment looks like this time around. And then finally, all the way at the back are maps of Latin America. So these are here just in case you're not super familiar with the geography of the region and you need to look at what are some places I might want to include on my tour. This one is a physical map, and then the last page contains a political map with the countries and major cities and capitals of different areas in Latin America. Okay, I'm going to scroll all the way back up. Sorry for that. Here to the stages of the assignment so that I can click here to go to the Google Earth Tour Builder. So next I just want to show you how to use this thing so that you'll be able to hit the ground running. This is what you'll see when you click on that link. If you're not signed into your Google account, this button will say sign in or sign up. If you don't have a Google account, you'll need to sign up for one. They're free and easy to do. So you'll do that and then come back to this point. You can look at the resources on this front page of the Tour Builder site because they give examples of other tours that people have created. They also have these videos of how different people have used Tour Builder. Again, if that's helpful for you, check it out. If not, don't worry about it. And click on My Tours. So this is where you will go to create your tour for our course. You'll note that I have a few that I've already made. I will give you some links to those. This one already is linked in the assignment instructions. This is a full example of what you should do by the end of this assignment, more or less. To create your tour, click the Create New Tour button. Give your tour a name. I'm going to be generic here. Be as creative as you would like and as you can. I'm just doing this for the sake of showing you. Type your name and then click Create Tour. Next, you will go to the editor for Tour Builder. You'll notice the title, your name are here. So you can go and change those after the fact if you decide you don't like the title that you gave to your tour. The way that this works is you create a series of entries. This is the introduction slide, and as you add locations, they will populate this column here, as we'll see. The map will also update based on the locations that you choose. So what I'm going to do here with this first section is just write that, and you'll want to write maybe a paragraph that explains kind of what your goal with the tour was, because as you go through Latin America, you'll make choices about the kinds of places that you include. I'm being generic again, just for the sake of showing you. So I type, this is a tour of Latin America. I'm going to add a photo. And what this does when you add photos or videos in the next section, it links to your Google Drive account if you have one. You can also choose this to upload photos. You can click that box to get some from your computer. You can search for images doing a Google search. So if I just do Latin America for the sake of argument here, and I decide it seems like it would be a great idea to have a global map of Latin America, I can choose that one, and it came in sideways. That's something you would want to play with if this was your tour, but again, for the sake of showing you, I'm going to leave it. All right, and then that's how you create your intro slide. Scrolling down, you can play with these different options, but again, you don't necessarily have to. It just depends on how creative you want to get with this. You need to have some locations in mind as you begin. I always start mine with Columbus, New Mexico. So you'll notice you type in the site and then you can choose it from the drop-down menu. The map will fly to that place and you just kind of verify, yes, that's the place that I meant, that I was thinking of. This is the border between New Mexico and Chihuahua, in the rural zone between El Paso and the Arizona border. Columbus was the place that was raided by Pancho Villa during the Mexican Revolution, and it was a place that was kind of the jumping off point for my dissertation research on communities in the border region between these two states in the period between about 1888 and 1930. So this is why that place has meaning to me, and it's where I begin my kind of journey into Latin America. So I'm going to click Add to Tour. Again, I'm not going to show you all of this just yet. I want to show you adding more locations. So as I did dissertation research, I visited places in the border, but I also spent some time in Mexico City. And so you can be kind of generic. This is Mexico City, Ciudad Mexico, Mexico. I can click that one, and it will fly, again, as we saw before, to Mexico City. If I want, let me see if this works. I can do, oops. All right, so I could do the Archivo General de la Nación. I spelled it wrong, but it gets the idea. This was the archive that I spent a lot of time working at in Mexico City. Looking here, I know that it's in the, because this is a generic name for National Archive throughout Latin America. I know that it's this one because I know that's the neighborhood that it's in Mexico City. So when this pops up, I can see, yes, this is this place. This was an old penitentiary, an old prison, and it is now, even though they're moving it in the next year, it has been the National Archive of Mexico since the early 80s. So that's a story, if you're interested in, you could ask me about sometime doing research in a prison. I'm going to add that to the tour. And again, just showing you, you can be kind of as specific or not as you'd like. If I decided I would like this marker to be over on the actual Archivo General, the actual prison, I can move it. So I just dragged it over there. Next, I'm going to add another location. Since we need to add some physical as well as built locations, I'm going to add Lake Atitlan. This was a place that we visited in Guatemala during the study abroad last May. So here we've noticed that the map has zoomed to that place. That's correct. I'm going to add it to the tour. Okay, so again, just for the sake of showing you, I've created 3 entries here. As I mentioned in the assignment, you need to create at least 15 that you split between built environment types of locations like cities and buildings and skyscrapers and so on, man-made things, and physical locations, part of the natural environment like Lake Atitlan. All you need to do for the initial tour step of this assignment that's due first in October is to create 15 of these placeholders, just as I've started doing here with these 3. You just need to choose your places and have them set to go. You don't need to fill anything in yet. And so once you've done that, you click Done Editing, once you have your 15, and then you can go back through and look at what you've done. You'll notice that my map's sideways still, but it zooms out on the intro slide to show all of the locations that you've chosen. Then as you click Next, everything's empty, but it will go from location to location. And again, that's all you need to do for that first step. It's kind of just to get your feet wet, get some skin in the game, so that for the next part of the project, you'll be ready to complete about half of those entries. So by November, you'll need to go back and you click this button here, you click Edit, and then you can go in and add information. So for this one, and for each of these entries, you'll need to add at least 2 to 3 either photos or videos. You'll notice this has changed just because videos are an option once you get past the intro slide, so it still has a connection to my Google Drive. I have a lot of archival materials in there. You can upload from your computer. You can take a snapshot. I'm not sure what that means. I'd have to enable a Flash player. You could play with that if you'd like. Or you can do the search for images, search YouTube if you want a video. If you've found an image elsewhere online and you have the URL for it, you can click this and just paste it in. I'm going to click search for images, and I'm going to do Archivo Validación. All right, I'm going to type Mexico also so that I get the right one. So this is the logo for the National Archive in Mexico. I'm trying to find a good photo. So one thing that I had noticed before, sometimes searching directly in the tour builder itself is less effective than clicking on a new tab and opening Google Images. So images.google.com. I can try the same thing over here. Click Mexico. And then I notice, okay, these are at least the right building. So I can choose one of these, as I mentioned. If you're not sure how to grab the URL for an image you find online, and you might be careful to watch out for the copyright of these images. Again, just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to right-click or control-click on a Mac. I am on a Mac, so your menu might look a little different if you're doing this on a PC, but you should have an option that says copy image address or something really similar to that. You click on that one, and then you go back to the Tour Builder tab. You click Image by URL from that drop-down menu, and then you paste the URL you just copied in there. It pops up, you click Select. So there's one of my images. To add more, you use the plus and go through the same process. So again, 2 to 3 images. You don't necessarily have to put a time frame in unless you're doing a historical focus with your timeline or timeline with your story map. You use this box to type your 2 to 3 paragraphs. So type your paragraphs here. You will embed links by pasting them directly into the text. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Well, I'll show you that right now. So going back out here, just for the sake of argument, I will click visit to visit the site where I just found that image. The sites that you link to will probably, most likely, and should be the ones that you've used to do your research and to write your entries for each of the places that you're adding to your tour. So looking at this is a story about women working in the archive. It's about the National Archive. So I will go up here and I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back. I will highlight the URL and then I'll do Command C, Control C on a PC. I'll go back over to my tour. I'll highlight the text where I want the link to be embedded, and then I'll click the link box right here. This will pop up and I will just do Command V or Control V to paste the link in. I like it to open in a new window. I'll click OK. And there it is. So again, to complete your work, you'll have your 2 to 3 images or videos there, your 2 to 3 paragraphs in this box, your link embedded in this way, so you'll need to link to 1 or 2 sources for each of these entries. And that's that. Again, you'll do that for each of these entries though. When you're done, and actually I didn't show you, you can change by dragging, kind of recenter how the map appears when you take the tour. I like that better, having the archive, the building right in the center. So I'm going to lock this view. And now when I click Done Editing, I'll notice that is the view that's locked. So let's go back here. Introduction. If we take this tour, you can either click Next to go through the entire thing, or we can click on Archivo General de la Nación. And you'll see the work that we've done here. The link is active. It's always a good idea to check and make sure that your link actually worked. I don't want to translate, and it works, so I'm just going to close it. So again, that's how you create these. By the peer review, the point for peer review, at least probably a week ahead of the due date, but at least a few days ahead of the due date, you need to have completed 7 or 8 of the 15 entries, so filled them in completely. So that you can then share the URL for your tour with the other members of your group in Slack. So I will place you in groups in Slack. I'll give you your very own channel as a group. There will be no more than 4 in a group, probably 3 or 4. And you will look at each other's work thus far. And in Slack, just responding with a message to the URL that others have posted, you'll just respond and write your feedback. So you'll write, what is strong, what works well with the tour, things that you learned and you found interesting by taking the tour, and then at least one suggestion for improvement. Then after Thanksgiving, by the final week of class, you will revise and incorporate the feedback that you've received from your peers and from me to complete your final version of the tour. I should show you how to share these. You just click the share button. You can, let's see, you have to change the access settings, the sharing settings. So you want anyone who has the link. If you don't do that, then the people in your group and me won't be able to see your tour, even if you share the link with us. Click Save. So now you'll see anyone who has the link can view. That means, though, it's not easily searchable. So you have to give the link to people generally in order for them to find your work here. You just highlight this and Control C, and then you can go and paste that link, that URL, into Slack. First in the geography assignment channel for the part that's due, the initial tour due in October, and then you'll do it again for your group once I make those groups for you by November. And that's how you will submit your work and share it with the rest of us. Just to show you the example that you have also from me in the assignment instructions is this one here. I won't spend a lot of time going through it, but you can open it and note how it works. You'll notice you can change the icons of some of the place markers if you want to do that. That's, again, just an option you have. Click Next. You can just travel around through my tour. You'll know it's mine because it started in Columbus, and see some of the things that I've done for each of these. I did this for the course last year, and so I wasn't requiring each of these to have a link to an outside source. That is a requirement this time, so like this one wouldn't do so well given the new assignment requirements. You need to make sure that you link to at least 1 or 2 sources in each one. All right, I hope that makes sense. I hope it's helpful. Please don't hesitate to ask questions whenever you have them, and I look forward to taking your tours of Latin America.